Like myself, many of you allude to the school days where there was a term called Chiromo. Chiromo was a term used to mean the day before a very big event in school or even returning home from a whole academic year. Now, this very same word, we're using it today because today is Chiromo for the Uganda independence, which is going to be celebrated tomorrow, 9th October 2021. Hello, welcome to UBC Lunchtime Edition, and this is Friday, 8th October 2021. My name is Priscila Nalwoga, and let's get right into the news. The head of State House Anti-Corruption Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalema, has re-emphasized the need for public servants to follow principles of leadership while performing their duties. Colonel Nakalema made these remarks during a lecture for the Uganda Revenue Authority officials on integrity, transparency and accountability at the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi. As Daniel Mugoya reports, about 267 URA staff have for the last 1 month been undergoing training on leadership skills at the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi. Here is the story.
At the National Leadership Institute, Chankwanzi, a stranger will need to do a double take to differentiate between a civilian and a military officer. These smartly dressed officers showcasing military skills including civilian marksmanship and physical fitness are from Uganda Revenue Authority. Their faces can tell the pride and honor in the Chiboga district environment.
Viva! Viva! Rais wa Jamhuri wa Uganda! Viva!
These are skills which everyone would need. And in most cases when they come here, they really appreciate.
267 supervisors from Uganda Revenue Authority have for the last 1 month been undergoing refresher training on leadership skills aimed at fostering economic transformation in Uganda.
Will your individual values impact on the values of Uganda Revenue Authority?
Colonel Edith Nakalema, one of the regular lecturers at the National Institute of Leadership, Chankwanzi, engaged the Uganda Revenue Authority supervisors on lessons regarding integrity, transparency and accountability while performing respective duties. Colonel Nakalema advised on principles of leadership, including respect of the law, which she says will enable the servants to win public trust and effectively manage public resources.
So, integrity remains the core value, and patriotism must be one of the values that we all must treasure as citizens. And on top of integrity and patriotism, we must be transparent and accountable to the public.
Colonel Nakalema also warned the URA officials on corruption and asked the public to utilize anti-corruption agencies to report any corruption-related cases.
So what you who are holding the most precious, the most valued, the most wanted resource of money, you will be asked to account for your actions, how you handled that precious resource.
John Musinguzi, the Commissioner General of Uganda Revenue Authority, is optimistic that refresher trainings offered to his staff at Chankwanzi will add credit to the skills of revenue collection in Uganda and be able to increase domestic tax base.
In other words, we should be able to raise enough money to run our budget as a nation. That is when we shall be truly independent.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Thank you, Daniel Mugoa. Now, we do have key policymakers and implementers from the central and local government congregating in the Mbale city to deliberate on the issues affecting service delivery. The Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, presided over the opening ceremony, and the ceremony was held at Wash and Wills Hotel in Mbale city. Dorit Nasasira was there and she returned with the report.
This meeting, codenamed Prime Minister's Stocktake and Regional Stakeholders Engagement, was organized by the Prime Minister's Delivery Unit, PMDU. It was called to evaluate success and failures in implementation of activities in the project areas. This project covers 22 focus districts. The Prime Minister's Delivery Unit, PMDU, was formed in 2015 as part of the drive to improve performance and implementation of the National Development Plan. The Prime Minister cautioned delegates against laziness. She said there should be no excuse in service delivery but push for results.
The NRM government is committed to continue building and sustaining capacities for service delivery as a national priority. I request you to support this in your respective districts. On this note, like my PS said, Professor, we must roll out this program throughout the country. We shall look for money so that all parts of the country get the feel of this program.
The PMDU has since 2016 piloted a unique service delivery method in the respective project districts. The purpose is to realize improved returns on public investments in health, education, and infrastructure. The State Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Agnes Nandutu, called for a concerted effort from all stakeholders to deliver quality service to the people.
I would like to welcome you to the region, Right Honourable Prime Minister. You are very much welcome. This is your second time to come to the region. You were first in Sironko district and they were in Bulambuli district, where many of the landslide victims have been resettled. And we thank you for the good work that you did there. You found people there, they had no land to do agriculture, but when you arrived there, you instructed, they are very happy, they have now engaged into agriculture. Thank you so much.
The head of the Prime Minister's Delivery Unit, Professor Ezra Suruma, spoke highly about the parish development model. He said it was a well-thought-out program that should be supported by all leaders, particularly those at the grassroots level.
We want to be sure that every citizen, every household has access to basic needs, to basic infrastructure, and is assisted to have an adequate income for basic needs.
Later, the Prime Minister presented awards to the best performing project districts. Sironko district was declared the overall winner. The 3-day regional workshop was held under the theme, Strengthening the Mechanisms for Quality, Effective and Efficient Service Delivery. Dorina Sasera, reporting for UBC News.
Prime Minister Robina Nabanja is not the only one that is issuing out warnings because she's after excellence in delivery of services. The other person issuing warnings is Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Aceng, who has warned against selling and theft of oxygen cylinders by some welders. The minister was communicating this while handing over 40 oxygen cylinders donated by Absa Bank to Lira Regional Referral Hospital to support the facility's capacity in saving lives of COVID-19 patients. Eddie Olwa was there and he gives us the warning.
Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Aceng has handed over 40 oxygen cylinders donated by Absa Bank to Lira Regional Referral Hospital.
And already the cylinders that we have been distributing across the country are being stolen. And they are taken away by welders. So, Hospital Director, I do hope that you will keep these cylinders safe. They are now property of Government of Uganda, not for sale. And please ensure that that is respected.
We have also committed to provide oxygen refills for 800 cylinders to various facilities when they commence production at their oxygen plants. This donation, therefore, is one of many initiatives in which we aspire to make a difference.
Right now, our oxygen consumption is approximately 60 cylinders per day. But during the peak of the pandemic, we had to operate it literally 24/7. And that meant that with increased operation, it has suffered wear and tear, and servicing is a problem. So, Honorable Minister and Managing Director ABSA, we need a new oxygen plant.
While handing over the cylinders, the minister called on Ugandans to embrace vaccination for government to fully lift the lockdown on all sectors. She also warned on the third wave, commonly known as the Colombian variant, that the ministry is preparing to encounter.
So far, almost half of the vaccines are consumed. And I think by the end of this week, we shall have nothing. And when we knock on your door, please, if there are more vaccines, we want it sent to Lira City here.
That from birth you have been getting all kinds of vaccines. In total, for those who are fully vaccinated, you have over 13 antigens in your body. So why are you worried about this one antigen of COVID that is meant to protect you, if you could take all the others? Many countries with vaccine coverage over 50% are opening up their economies. And many of you who watch football are seeing the football fields open and people are playing internationally. Now that we have vaccines, why don't we also get vaccinated and open up the economy and live our lives as it were, of course with the masks.
After the handover, the minister proceeded to Lela Perra, where she commissioned the construction of 8 boreholes to help the community access clean water for both home use and for washing hands to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Eddie Olua for UBC News in Lira City.
Well, we thank Dr. Ruth Chen and the entire Ministry of Health for the strides they are taking in fighting and managing COVID-19 in Uganda today. Still around health, joint medical stores are planning to set up medical oxygen production plant estimated to cost over $1 million. This was revealed during the flagging off of medical equipment dispatched to 25 hospitals and health centers by Uganda Protestant Medical Bureau. Zahara Abigawa was there to witness this.
With over 3,000 COVID-19 deaths confirmed, Uganda Protestant Medical Bureau is supporting health workers in member health facilities with the required personal protective gears as they treat and take care of COVID-19 patients to prevent contracting and spreading COVID-19.
Flagging off equipment worth 350 million Uganda shillings, and this includes oxygen concentrators, it includes PPE, personal protective equipment, but also includes sanitizers as well as gloves. And we believe that this will go a long way in helping or assisting the response of COVID-19 in Uganda.
Joint Medical Store is in the process of establishing an oxygen production plant to supplement government efforts to provide oxygen to the population.
Stages of setting up a medical oxygen production plant, because we know that one of the issues we realized during the pandemic is that the need for oxygen in this country is not met by the current ability to supply it. So we will, in the coming few months, be finalizing the establishment of a medical oxygen production plant.
The Executive Director of Uganda Protestant Medical Bureau called upon the public to observe standard operating procedures to guard against COVID-19 and also get vaccinated.
It is not over yet, and every time you see the country quiet, just know it's a high risk for transmission. So we encourage the public to continue observing the SOPs, but also to continue vaccinating, and also encourage our health workers that as they use and receive these items, that they should put them to good use, not only to protect themselves, but also for the betterment of our patients. We want to believe that together we can fight COVID.
Uganda Protestant Medical Bureau is a non-profit organization established in 1956 as an umbrella organization for Protestant and Pentecostal churches funded health facilities. Zahara Abigawa, UBC.
At least 14 families from the 3 villages in Chindi Town Council Boyike district risk to be left homeless following the issuance of an evacuation ultimatum by the Ministry of Water to pave way for the construction of a water treatment plant in the specified villages. They have engaged the area woman MP Diana Mutasingwa for help, but efforts to serve them are nearing hitting a dead end. Here is the detail.
The State Minister in the Office of the Vice President, also Boyikwe District Woman MP, has visited 14 families in 3 villages of Jimbo, Buzama and Buyoka who are facing displacement by the Water Ministry to pave way for the construction of the water treatment plant. Residents are not contented of the recently announced compensation amounting to 2 million shillings per plot of land.
There are families which are orphans who need help and have no money at all to top up and buy any other piece of land for settlement.
In the meeting with the Boyikwe Woman MP, Diana Mutasingwa called for patience as the negotiations are still going on.
Came with the Minister of Water to help our people. They want the project of water to run in Jimbo, but they want compensation that they can be able to build a home, they can be able to start a new life. So we got a positive reply from the Minister. We are very happy that the people are going to be compensated because they were going to be given 2 million. But this time round, they are going to be compensated very well, and we know that people are going to leave the Jimbo village when they are happy with a good compensation so that the project of water can run.
The meeting was also attended by the State Minister for Water, Aisha Sechindi, who promised a review of the already passed resolutions.
We're going to sit down together with the PS and the Secretary and the Commissioner in charge of this project to see that at least a person can get a maximum of 10 millions and the minimum for those ones who have gotten small plots, they can get the minimum of 7 millions so that they can construct, they can buy other plots.
The already approved project is funded by the government of Uganda by a loan of 20 billion shillings acquired from the African Development Bank without compensation funds. Abdul Nasir Lugama, UBC News.
Thank you, Abdul Nasir. Now, the Minister for State for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, David Bahati, has attributed poor performance of African economies on policy failures both in design and implementation. Bahati was addressing the 15th United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Details in this report.
We must address the issue of equality in the fight against COVID by making sure that there is access to vaccination on the continent. We must also market the opportunities we have on the continent and attract direct investments to benefit the African continent.
In the case of Uganda, if fully utilized, the several untapped mineral reserves will provide sustained and decent job opportunities within the mineral industry. The Trade and Industry State Minister made the remarks at the UNCTAD 15th Ministerial Roundtable on reshaping global and regional value chains.
African continent is sitting on more than 82 trillion US dollars of undiscovered natural resources with the potential to contribute to over US dollar 30 billion of government revenue in the next 20 years. This is a particular area that we think, in connection to what the Secretary General has raised, that we can tackle and handle to benefit the people of Africa.
United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Ministerial Roundtable dealt with development issues that are critical to Africa and other least developed countries, including the matter of international trade.
No doubt we need to leverage the private sector ingenuity and investment in the developing world, but we will need more finance financing for development. So to make possible that the small island states, that the low-income countries, that the very badly hit middle-income countries will be able to put themselves again, you know, in the long road for sustainable development.
Analysts say the reconfiguration of global value chains for recovery and resilience from the COVID-19 disruption will have profound implications for inclusive and sustainable growth. Africa's contribution to the global trade of over $18 trillion is less than 3%, while intra-Africa trade is less than 16%. Dennis Goa for UBC Business.
UBC Lunchtime News takes a break, and when we return, we get to look at a year before independence as well as a sports update.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart. Mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama. At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back to UBC's Lunchtime News, and now on to our special report. In our last episode to the creation of political parties in Uganda, we look at a year to independence between 1961 to 1962. What happened? The need for an alliance between the two political parties at the time was crucial to Uganda. Uganda's People's Congress and Kabaka because the route to capture political power was through elections, and elections were won 4 years later. The alliance stand out a mere marriage of convenience, and the outcome was bitter, calling for the 1966 crisis. Our political risk analyst Timothy Sibasi looks at the events that unfolded then.
A year to independence between 1961 to 1962. This was the year of achieving what all political parties were for, and this was capturing political power.
Me, I do not necessarily think that that was Uganda's biggest problem. I think what caused the major problem then was having political parties that had no serious ideology. Their focus was on attaining independence. So once the independence was attained, all hell broke loose.
This, at least, was to happen through constitutional means, and the route to that was through elections. Elections had to be won, but to win that election, you must have had majority votes. This required compromise, alliances, and some other craftiness.
The Lancaster Conference and the issues at hand were clearly laid down. Strategic interests for different entities. And the alliances were crafted based on those specific strategic interests. So one party was willing to meet them and compromise, another wasn't.
At this time, Buganda, and particularly the Mengo establishment, miscalculated by boycotting the 1961 elections to the Legislative Council. They even intimidated those who participated in it.
In 61, that was the arrangement, that KY had strategic interests. UPC had strategic interests. So they met halfway. The biggest problem was with Obote, who was not interested in enforcing the agreement, the alliance agreement. For him, his interest was in capturing power. Once he got power, then he disregarded whatever was agreed upon.
This notwithstanding, it gave birth to the Democratic Party with a majority vote, and they formed a government led by Benedicto Kiwanuka as a chief minister.
Democratic Party had, as a single party, had more members of parliament than any political party. So in any case, Benedicto Kiwanuka had more latitude to form government, but he chose not to.
However, it's important to note that these were elections conducted under the laws that Ugandans never participated in, to purge the Catholic protracted move to capture political power in the independent Uganda that was soon a movement by the Baganda leadership for purposes of defeating the Democratic Party. The Kabaka was shortly announced after the Constitutional Conference as a vehicle by which they were going to contest the Lukiko elections. This was a strange organization. It never had a manifesto because it hinged on Kabaka alone, Kabaka. According to this organization, whoever was not part of the Kabaka was deemed to be living a treasonable existence.
The fact of the matter is, Musaz, despite having benefited from Western education, he hated the Western system with a passion. In fact, for your information, one of the reasons as to why he was not ordained, it was because of his criticism. He studied theology, but have you ever asked yourself why he was never ordained as a priest? Because he critiqued their systems right from the theological college where he was. So when he returned here, it was their mission to frustrate him.
They pushed all sorts of disinformation, such as that Kiwanuka was an anti-monarchism and threatening to overthrow the monarch and establish a republic. Between religion and tribes, the Mengo establishment opted for one of the evils, namely to shed the tribal lines and minimize the gains of the Catholic tribesmen, representing a political opponent, the Democratic Party, to a Protestant Uganda People's Congress, though from without Buganda.
The same thing with Benedicto Chiwanuka, was very uncompromising in terms of his principles. In fact, even where he came from in central Uganda was never appreciated at the time. Ugandans never appreciated him at the time because he was a man of principles. He would not compromise on the values that he so much cherished. So the British knew that this was not the person to deal with. But an amateur, naturally, is one you can model into something that you want. Of course, at the end of the day, it failed. That's why the British were partly responsible for the first overthrow of Milton Obote.
Consequently, Kabaka in 1962 sent in 21 elected members, sent in by Lukiko, added to the 37 directly elected members of the Uganda People's Congress, which brought Uganda People's Congress to power, and Milton Obote as a leader to form government that led Uganda to independence.
Then put his points on paper, and he said we need to reach an amicable solution. We need to reach an agreement. So Obote said, for me, I'm taking everything you're proposing. But in his heart of hearts, he knew that that was not the case.
This kind of politics evacuated into the Kabaka crisis of 1966.
But I do not know why you should ask me that question now. But the most interesting thing is that the pressmen seem to think that the Kabaka has done nothing wrong. That it's only the government that has done wrong things.
And Obote's dictatorial suspension of the 1962 Constitution and declaring himself an executive president, and his 1969 move to the left, the Common Man's Charter, which was a replica of Tanzania's Arusha Declaration of 1967, which violated the right to property.
That Obote and UPC was not interested in that constitution. His interest was in acquiring power. So if I were in his shoes and I was interested in having a stable and prosperous Uganda, I would rather have postponed Uganda getting independence in 62 until we reach an agreeable position, not just to append my signature on a document just because I want to become head of state.
However, the contradiction that ensued from these religion tribal-based party politics created conditions for a man like Idi Amin to emerge and overthrow Obote in 1971.
That when Obote sent Idi Amin to storm the palace in Mengo in 1966, he didn't know that he was teaching Idi Amin that politics and constitution are political expedients that can be gotten rid of to suit the president of the day. As day follows night, Amin used the very same script to overthrow Obote.
Amin inherited the same fundamental problems that Obote had confronted. To create popular support, Amin, the northerner, had to appease the southerners, and more especially the Baganda, who were at the core. He arranged that Mutesa's body be returned and be buried near his forebearers. Timothy Spasi, UBC.
Welcome back from that special report regarding independence the year before. Now on to our sports update, where we get to look at Uganda Cranes having defeated Rwanda on their home turf to open up their chances of making it out of the World Cup group status. Fahad Bayo gave Cranes its deserved 3 points. Amon Ngabo was there to witness it live.
Nicely done. Well, he did the hard bit. Then he drilled the ball into the side netting. Uganda had the 3 points, and Uganda go top of Group E.
Celebrations on the pitch when the centre referee made the final call shows how much Uganda needed a win against rivals Rwanda.
The two nations met Thursday evening in the World Cup qualifier game that would determine who remains in contention for the single slot out of Group E. Before results from the game between Mali and Kenya, Uganda slightly was top of Group E with 5 points, thanks to Fahad Bayo's goal.
Will take the free kick. Good flight, good height. Falls nicely. And there it is, 1-0. Uganda snatched the lead against the run of play, but it all came from the free kick.
Cranes tactician Milton Micho couldn't hide the excitement, though admits there's a long way to go for one to qualify out of the group.
That could have been game over.
They have making us problem. However, on the half, we have scored the goal in the right moment. In the second half, we have exactly locked wide areas, limit the crosses.
Off the pitch, celebrations went on and on as the team made its way to the hotel. Back in Kigali, Rwanda, the home supporters couldn't hide frustrations after the 90 minutes.
baje biteye ubwoba kuva natangira kureba Amavubi nibwo bwa mbere mbabaye nanjye mfashe icyemezo guhera uno munsi ndasezeye ntuzanga ku kibuga uzongera kumbona kuri stade naje kureba Amavubi azamfunge.
By 5 a.m. Friday morning, Cranes touched down in Entebbe International Airport to prepare for their return leg game against the Amavubi Stars at St. Mary's Stadium in Chitende. Mali defeated Kenya 3-0 to go top of the table. Uganda is in second, while Kenya and Rwanda follow respectively. Ngabo Amon reporting for UBC TV.
Well done, Uganda Cranes. We are so proud of you, and we await the return match that is this Sunday on 10th October 2021 at St. Mary's Chitende Stadium. Now, just to pick an extraction as we get to celebrate independence tomorrow, a reminder of where we've come from and where we are going 59 years down the road. In the words of Milton Obote, extracted from his 1962 independence speech, there is a place in this Uganda for all who have her interests at heart, whether regardless of race, regardless of tribe, regardless of creed. Thank you so much for having watched UBC Lunchtime News, and we wish you a happy Independence Day tomorrow. We are going to be having a recap of the Uganda Cranes match against Rwanda after the news bulletin. Good afternoon.